how they can buy a house. So posting content that teaches the home buyer how you can buy a house and what the current market is like, if it's possible. So I utilize the platform as a way to educate home buyers and home sellers, but also to show that I'm the top agent in the market. So that kind of steers my content creation.
Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.
So that's super good, because you have like on your link tree, I think you have like 3 different resources on there. I want to say it's like a PDF and then like 2 links to like website or something like that. So that's very specific, and I love that, because you're right. Like, first-time home buyer is going to have very different questions they ask than a second or third home buyer, which is probably going to be looking at vacation homes or investments or something like that, where the qualifications are very different, their financial abilities are very different, and very different content and educational material for sure. So I love that. So okay, so I know I have a question up on the board ready for you, but I'm just making sure that you didn't like get me with any other ideas. Well, one thing I did want to talk about before we get to the last thing is, so there's 4 questions now, is you talk about doing stories, and I don't mean just like telling stories. I mean, literally the stories function on Instagram, right? That has actually been really, really good for you. What is it about stories that you think works so much better than the feed and reels? Because let's be honest, I can get some crazy reach on a reel, but that doesn't mean that it's actually going to do the job it needs to do, right? It has to convert. So what is it about stories that you love so much, and how is it that you're utilizing them that is so dang effective?
Okay, yes, I love this question. I'm a huge stories proponent fan, especially for real estate. But I think honestly, for any business that is service based, I think that the stories feature on Instagram really allows you to build connections with your audience on a deeper level. So when you post a reel, you're getting a huge reach, but is somebody in China or in Australia likely going to buy a house from me? You know, it's not very likely that
Probably not a first-time home buyer.
yeah, right.
Maybe a third.
Exactly. Or an investor, maybe. But there's a lot of eyes that are going to be on your reel, which is a great thing. But if it's not going to convert, then I always say you only have a certain amount of time, you only have a certain amount of energy. So you should spend that time and that energy on what's really going to work for your business. As a real estate agent, we are so busy. And so I dedicate a lot of my time to stories instead of reels or instead of the feed, because I'm able to have conversations with whoever's interacting with my stories. And that leads to them getting to know me on a more personal level and vice versa, which will convert to them being a client later down the line.
Yeah. Right. So get a little tactical with me, because like right now, I will admit publicly that basically I just use stories to share my feed posts, right? I'm just like, share the story, blah, 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 right? Because I'm like, it's just another place for people to see what I made, which is not the worst idea, but this is certainly not what you're talking about. So like, how exactly are you creating that conversation with people on stories? Is it like the quizzes, or like, how is it happening?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. You have to have a strategy, when it comes to posting stories. I always say stories is almost like your personal reality TV show. And
Okay.
people love reality TV. And not only because it's, addicting, you want to know, into somebody's life, but you also like feel like you know them. And I think that that's so important in business, is knowing the person that you're working with. So in stories, you cannot just simply share what's on your feed, or you cannot share a photo of, an open house of your listing. It is going to require you to get on video and share your life. And so um I actually am going to be teaching this in my webinars, where you have to come up with like your pillars, your content strategy. So what are 3 to 4 things that interest you or that you're passionate about? Obviously, as a real estate agent, one of the pillars is going to be real estate. So you can share to your stories house tours. People love looking at house tours. That's why people are so addicted to Zillow, but they're looking at photos, right? Imagine if they get an interactive experience and of actually seeing the inside of a pretty house. So posting house tours, or again, educational content about real estate on your stories. But that's just one pillar. The other 3, or at least 2, should be about you. So what are you interested in? For me, I have a toddler. So one of my other pillars is motherhood. So in my stories, the people watching are getting, a background or reality TV show of what it is being a mom to a 3-year-old. And then, another pillar of mine is a home remodel. So I just recently bought a fixer-upper, and
Nice.
I'm going through the process of renovating it. And so a lot of behind the scenes in my stories is fixing this house up. And again, a lot of people love that. And so I think when you identify your content pillars, it it really is going to guide like what you post about in general. And I think that you have to use those content pillars to know what to post about on your stories. And then people, will engage with you if you ask them to engage. So for example, if you post a house tour, it's really easy to just, have a camera and be posting, a video of the house. But if you are talking, or if you have engagement sticker, a poll in there, these are all things that allow the audience to engage. So you ask them a question, you put in a poll sticker, you have them guess the list price of the house. These are ways to build a conversation. People are going to click on the poll, people are going to vote, or people are going to respond, hey, how much is that house? And boom, this person is interested in buying a house or selling their house, maybe not now, but later down the line. So I'm going to nurture them and keep being top of mind for when they are ready.
This is like an Instagram masterclass. This is amazing. So, which is good, because you're going to have masterclasses. In fact, I'm assuming you're going to have a link to like sign up for these type things. Like, would you know when you're going to have that available?
So I have my free webinar May 11th at 10 a.m. Arizona time.
Okay.
So this is a free webinar that is going to go into creating your content pillars. And it's going to share the why stories is so important. And so that's open to anybody and everybody. It doesn't even have to be real estate agents, because I think it's so important to know, okay, what am I supposed to be posting about to gain my ideal clients or get my ideal followers?
Right.
So I break that down on how, to create your content pillars and, what to post. And then I have webinars coming after that are going to be the how-to. So how to post engaging stories using Instagram tools, using Canva, and then also using another platform called InStories.
Cool. Well, we'll definitely make sure that in the description of the content where they're sharing from you, that there's a link both to your real estate page and to the Instagram account that you're going to use for actually creating the courses. So be on the lookout for that. So real quick question, right before we get to the very last one, because you said something else that's now sparked other questions in me, which I think, because like legitimately, I've heard this from like a lot of other people, which is, okay, so you have these like 3 or 4 different pillars that you're talking about. Like, what percentage of each are you doing, right? Because obviously motherhood is a great thing, and as people learn about you, but at the end of the day, that's great for connecting, but like, I feel like doesn't sell house either. So I don't, but that's just my perspective, right? How do you break up those percentages?
Well, real estate is going to be the focus of your Instagram page. So
Right.
it's going to have to be more than 50% of your content.
Okay.
So, I it depends on if you have 3 or if you have 4 pillars, So, I would say at least 70% of your content needs to be about real estate, but it's not
Okay.
just here's my listing.
Right.
It really has to be you're either teaching, you're entertaining, we call it like edutainment. I'm sure you've heard that verb
Yes.
before. Yeah. And you also want to take your consumer like behind the scenes. So even if you were to show like the process of writing a contract, a lot of people don't know what goes on once you're under contract. And so if you take them through the, steps or behind the scenes of all of that, instead of just, hey, here's a pretty house, you're gaining that credibility, you're becoming the expert, and it shows that, this is an agent who I'm going to want to work with, over somebody else.
Right. So if you had to pick, if you have a little tripod of content, you're talking like just a rough guesstimate, making sure I can add right, like 70% of the topic that you're trying to, basically get known for, and then 15 and 15 of the other areas of your life that contribute to getting to know you so that people like connect with you with things that matter to you, parenthood and what have you. So that seemed about accurate. Okay.
70%, 15, 15, or 70, 10, 10, 10, depending if you have 3 or 4 content pillars.
Nice. Love it. Cool. Last question for you. What's one thing that real estate agents should stop doing immediately? And what's 2 things that you think they should start doing immediately? And I know we covered some things already, so maybe something a little different.
Okay, so the number one thing that agents should stop doing is posting pictures of houses on their feed, on their stories, on their reel, everything. Just stop posting pictures of houses. People don't care about the house. They care about you, the agent, or what you have to share about the house. Another thing, I know you said one, but another thing that really gets under my skin is people who post infographics about the market update. It's like just a whole bunch of numbers. It'll say, house prices have increased this amount. It's just a whole bunch of numbers on an infographic that only makes sense to a real estate agent. It doesn't make, and
I've totally never seen that before. Just kidding.
So, somebody is literally going to scroll past that because they either A, don't care, or B, they don't have time to look at these numbers, and think, what does this mean in the larger scheme?
Right. What kind of house do I qualify because it went up 0.5%?
Yes, exactly. So those 2 things, are really no-nos because people don't really care. They don't care about the house picture. They don't care about the numbers.
Gasp.
You have to, if you want to share a market update, guess what? You got to get your face on video and you need to explain why that matters. Why does it matter that home prices have gone up 23% since last year? You have to break it down. That means that a $300,000 house is now worth $380,000. So,
right.
And then what does that mean to them even more so? Does that mean that they, what will their monthly payment look like? So really breaking it down, but talking about, like, you have to talk through the data and you have to talk to the consumer as far as why does it matter, instead of just posting static pictures.
Okay, awesome. So 2 things that they should do.
Okay. So which leads me to my next part, I guess. So the one thing that they should be doing is showing their face on video. And that could be through stories, that could be through, IG Live, that could be through a reel, but you got to show your face, and your face doesn't have to be all done up and pretty. Even I think that it even speaks more when you're not all done up and pretty, because that's more relatable. So you got to get on video. And then the second thing is I think you got to be posting to stories every day. Yeah. With the strategy, with intention, and I can help you do that.
Well, it's good to know that I at least do one thing right. I always shoot my stories without any makeup on. So like way ahead of you.
There
As
you go.
authentic as I could be.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Like I said, we'll make sure to have any relevant links to your content in the descriptions of the stuff we post. So be looking for that. Check below to do that. And go follow Sarah so you can learn how to post. And I know that's going to create more competition for you, but maybe they should just go to your webinar, right?
Yes.
And they can learn how to do it. And that way I mean, let's be honest, a lot of homes are getting sold and a lot of real estate agents are not selling enough homes. So go learn a webinar, learn how to do it, make some money, and that'll make everyone way happier, right?
It will.
So, excuse me. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your mindset on all of that. I feel like I just took an Instagram masterclass. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was such an honor. Thank you.
Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.